It's been a long time. I'm gonna stop. It's been a long time. Yeah, come on. Take this from me. Yeah. Hey, yo, it's my life, my time, my rights, my rhymes, my grind, my struggle, hustle, sweat in my blood too. A predator smells fear, and I smell a lot. My competitors fled scared, cause they smelled I was hot. I want it all. Excess, the sex, much success, stress sucks. I want it all, no less. So come on.
What up? It's Team in the Reaction. We're gonna keep teaming with the Royal Rumble videos. This one is 10-18 weirdest WWE Royal Rumble entry as well too. And I'm gonna be another. I would like. And I'm gonna end up doing another one afterwards, possibly via walk calls. But this one's WrestleMania to see if anybody had missed. So you know what? I'm gonna combine them together as well too to see if there's ones that I did miss or did not miss. So I'm gonna do this one first, and I'm gonna check the Wall Culture one secretly. If there's some that was on here that wasn't on here that was on that one, I'm gonna skim through that. But other than that, let's check out these word entry because sometimes you would mean entries are full surprises, but there's this time when the surprise entry be something that I'll be a total what WTF. Anyway, let's get it.
18 of the most random, unnecessary WWE Royal Rumble entrants ever. Santina Marella. At the surprise return of Santina Marella, Santina Marella received criticism at the 2020 Royal Rumble. The character wasn't as well liked as WWE remembered, and a lot of the criticism was directed to the fact that the spot could have gone to another woman on the roster. Granted, it was an odd fit in the match, especially with WWE being so far away from parody characters of this nature, but according to Marella himself during an interview with Back Sports page, he had reservations about bringing the character back. Talent Relations called me and asked if I was available. I said sure because of my past significant Royal Rumble moments. In the beginning, I wasn't too sure about coming back as Santina, but it was whatever they wanted, so I was going to do it to the best of my ability. 2 days before I actually got sick and I decided to tough it out just to get through the day, but it was a good moment overall. Marella would just last 1 minute in the Women's Rumble before opting for a self-elimination. Ricardo Rodriguez at the 2012 Royal Rumble was the definition of a lackluster Rumble match. The match lacked any concrete storytelling and almost every surprise entrant was underwhelming. One of the surprise entrants that WWE believed were pop fans was Ricardo Rodriguez. Rodriguez was of course the personal in-ring announcer for former WWE champion Alberto Del Rio, and WWE's grand idea was to have him dressed as Del Rio and enter the match via the use of Del Rio's luxury car. But this surprise entrant was a complete waste of time, and the spot had grown stale after a few seconds. The spot was no doubt designed to make Vince McMahon laugh, and we all know that the former WWE chairman has questionable comedic tastes. Rodriguez would last just over 2 minutes before being eliminated by Santina Marella. Michael Cole. Speaking of the 2012 Royal Rumble, one of the other surprise entrants was Michael Cole. Cole had dominated airtime the year prior, and Cole had even received a WrestleMania match against Jerry the King Lawler. And nobody was crying out for Cole to make a cameo in the match, and the WWE had moved away from Cole being an on-air character during this time, so it just felt like a major step backwards. Cole would enter in his infamous orange singlet, and he would have an exchange with Karma before being eliminated by fellow commentators Jerry Lawler and Booker T. Vicky Guerrero. And the inaugural Women's Royal Rumble would take place in 2018, and WWE did a great job in honoring the women of the past with numerous surprise entrants. One of the more polarizing entrants was Vicky Guerrero, who would enter the match screaming over and over again. Whilst Guerrero received a great reaction, Guerrero wasn't a wrestler and she obviously wasn't going to take any big bumps. The spot could have been given to another wrestler on the roster or even another legend, but the WWE clearly wanted to honor the former general manager, Jonathan Coachman. During the Ruthless Aggression era, WWE were just obsessed with having Jonathan Coachman as an on-air heel. Coachman initially started in WWE as a backstage interviewer and commentator, yet in 2003, Vince McMahon decided that Coachman would be a solid presence as an on-screen heel. Although WWE had an insanely gifted roster in 2005, they decided to give one of the spots in the Royal Rumble to Coachman. It's unclear what the aim of this was, but it's possible that one of the aims was to influence fans into accepting him as a credible threat. Coachman, who wasn't even an actual wrestler, lasted 14 minutes in the match, which made everyone else look like complete fools. He would eventually be eliminated by the Nature Boy Ric Flair, but booking him to last that long was just nonsensical. To make things worse, the following year, WWE would yet again give Coachman a spot in the matchup. Thankfully, this time he would last just 30 seconds before he was unceremoniously dumped out of the match by The Big Show. Ernest Miller. Ernest Miller is mostly known for his run in WCW, yet his WWE run saw him have a number of matches, and he even made a bizarre comedic appearance in the acclaimed 2004 Royal Rumble. Miller entered at number 18 along with his manager Lamont, and he entered the ring to Chris Benoit and Randy Orton both being down. And instead of taking advantage of the situation, Miller and Lamont decided to dance to Somebody Call My Mama. Benoit and Orton would then recover and proceed to gate crash the dance break, eliminating Miller in the process. Whilst this was a silly and random entrant, the 2004 had a serious tone throughout, as there were numerous intense storylines at play, therefore it made sense to break up the action with a few minutes of comedic antics. Fake Diesel. WWE was so insistent on Fake Diesel being a huge deal that they allowed the character to not just be an entrant in the 1997 Royal Rumble, but also last until the Final Four. Even the most casual of WWE fans knew that this wasn't the real Diesel, yet WWE just treated the audience like idiots for months on end. We also won't forget mentioning the fake Razor Ramon which entered the match. As everybody knows by now, Scott Hall never entered the Royal Rumble, but Razor Ramon did. Chavo Guerrero. Now, of course, before you call us out on this one, Chavo Guerrero isn't a bizarre wrestler as such entering the Royal Rumble. But when the WWE relaunched the ECW brand, they decided to present and market the ECW title as a world title. When The Undertaker won the 2007 Rumble, one of the options for him at WrestleMania 23 was Bobby Lashley, who was the reigning ECW World Champion. Over time, as WWE gradually lost interest in the ECW product, the labeling of the ECW World title began to fade away, and one specific entrant in the 2008 Rumble from Madison Square Garden made it obvious that the ECW title was no longer a world title in WWE. Entrant number 26 in the Rumble was Chavo Guerrero, and Guerrero at the time was the reigning ECW champion. It was labeled that Guerrero would have a chance to challenge for the world title if he won the Rumble, and this officially meant that the ECW world title was no longer considered to be a world title in the company. For the loyal fans of ECW, this was a disappointing way to find out that the ECW title was no longer a world title. However, the writing was on the wall a considerable amount of time before the annual matchup. Charlotte Flair. Now again, not exactly a strange entrant, but the active reigning world champion entering the Royal Rumble isn't a new concept, and it was done extremely well when Brock Lesnar did it in 2020. When Lesnar entered the match as WWE champion, it was a welcome yet bold addition to the matchup, and it helped set up his eventual WrestleMania 36 matchup against Drew McIntyre. When it came to the Women's Rumble in 2022, WWE decided to have Charlotte Flair in the match as the reigning SmackDown Women's Champion. Flair's promo explaining her involvement in the match was insanely weak, and it was obvious that WWE just wanted her on the show in some capacity. Whilst Lesnar's involvement in 2020 managed to elevate the names in the match, as well as the quality of the match itself, the same can't be said for Flair, as her appearance lacked any weight and fans don't even remember her entering the match as an active champion, which is never a good sign. Flair would last over 30 minutes in the match before being eliminated by the winner and Flair's subsequent WrestleMania opponent, Ronda Rousey. Carlos Colon. Back to getting the weird again. Now, Carlos Colon, father of Primo and Carlito, was a legendary wrestler from Puerto Rico and made a brief appearance in the 1993 Royal Rumble. Entering at number 24, Colon was already well known as a major figure in Puerto Rican wrestling and the founder of the World Wrestling Council. Despite being 44 at the time, Gorilla Monsoon mistakenly mentioned him as a fiery youngster. Yeah, right? Regardless, Colon was eliminated after a few minutes, but his inclusion in the Rumble added a touch of international flair and showcased WWE's acknowledgement of stars from outside its usual roster. It was, after all, the first time they did it. Shane McMahon. The 2022 Men's Royal Rumble was a total disaster by all accounts. One of the fundamental flaws of the match was that the WWE failed to present names in a manner fans wanted, and they instead shifted the focus onto surprise entrants like Shane McMahon. Whilst McMahon was a nice addition to the match, he was literally presented as the biggest star in the entire match, which was a spit in the face to all the active talent and wasn't a great look for the modern day roster. McMahon's involvement was unique mainly because WWE literally went the extra mile in their booking of him, and it later surfaced that the former European champion had a significant say in his elite presentation in the matchup. It was reported by several outlets that McMahon was actively pushing to be the center of attention, and one pitch from McMahon was that he would enter the match at the number 1 position. Why WWE higher-ups went along with this is a big question fans had, as McMahon wasn't an active full-time wrestler and he had no business being the star of the matchup. McMahon's unprofessional behavior and booking didn't just upset the fans, as it infuriated major players in the match such as Brock Lesnar, and getting on the wrong side of Lesnar is never a good idea. Lesnar was picked as the eventual winner of the match, yet all anyone could focus on was McMahon's superior booking and the dire quality of the match. Even Vince McMahon had enough of the Boy Wonders antics, and in a surprising move, he decided to outright fire his own son for his behavior. Doug Gilbert. Now, 1996's WWE roster wasn't exactly a high point in the company's career. Whilst there was top talent in the likes of Bret Hart, Undertaker and Razor Ramon, they were reserved for singles matches on the card, which did leave many desirable wrestlers for the Royal Rumble match. Outside of Shawn Michaels, Yokozuna, Diesel, Vader and the British Bulldog, there really weren't many to pick as a winner to go on to WrestleMania and challenge Bret Hart for the championship. I mean, could you really see Aldo Montoya going for the gold? So in order to pad it out, Vince looked towards Memphis's USWA territory and handpicked a legend. More like a brother of a legend with Doug Gilbert, brother of Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. Gilbert came out to zero fanfare and would have a poor performance, only lasting 3 minutes before being dumped out by Vader. Dory Funk Jr. I remember when WWE made fun of WCW for using old has-beens of the past in the Billionaire Ted skits? Well, WWE should have practiced what they preached, as the 1996 Rumble had another odd entrant in Dory Funk Jr., who was fresh and fit at the age of 54 years old. Now, all credit to Dory Funk Jr., he still had a decent showing lasting 10 minutes, and between that having a short scuffle with veteran Bob Backlund before being dumped out by Savio Vega. Quite a return to the company after 10 years. The SWAT team. Looking back on the 1996 Rumble, really had some oddballs, and to continue that streak were numbers 15 and 16 respectively, a SWAT team member A and B. Yep, creative really seemed lazy on that one. But this was a pairing of Victor and Manuel Santiago, who had wrestled in Japan, Mexico, and the US as a dominant pairing. The trouble is that many, like a handful of the WWE Royal Rumble entrants of that year, the audience at the time had no idea who they were, and simply served as cannon fodder to both Vader and Yokozuna, who managed to eliminate the tag team in less than 2 minutes. Dick Murdoch. Boy, if you thought 1996's Royal Rumble roster was bad, it was nothing on the year before that. Quang, Mantar, Duke Drosy, and Adam Bomb, there should have been a Rumble labeled as a lower mid-card Rumble. WWE dug deep into the barrel of randomness to bring in known racist and KKK member Dick Murdoch. After 10 years of being away from WWE, Murdoch returned at number 27 to a fairly decent reaction and just managed to last 5 minutes. Tom Brandi. The 1998's Royal Rumble was memorable for several reasons. Stone Cold Steve Austin had now joined Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan as a back-to-back winner. The Rock put in an incredible Iron Man-like performance. Terry Funk brought out a chainsaw. Mick Foley managed to enter the Rumble 3 times under 3 different personas. However, with all that, let's never forget the fighting spirit of the real Italian Tom Brandi, formerly Salvatore Sincere, who was in it to win it, but sadly only lasted 12 seconds, making his only Rumble appearance a lackluster one. AAA wrestlers. WWE was really trying to recover from its mid-90s slump, and while they had a true star in the making of Stone Cold Steve Austin, they still needed to pad out the Rumble. Thus, Vince McMahon had the idea of bringing in a slew of AAA wrestlers with which they had a short partnership with at the time. As well as a 6-man tag featuring the Latin stars, WWE inserted Piroth, Cybernetico, Latin Lover, and Lucha legend Mil Mascares. Whilst the others understood the format of the Royal Rumble, Mascares wasn't a fan of losing any matches, including the Rumble itself. Bruce Pritchard recalled how he was a polite gentleman backstage, but wasn't in favor of jobbing to anybody, thus he eliminated himself. And Hiroki Sumi. Whilst the greatest Royal Rumble isn't normally considered to be part of the Royal Rumble's history, how could we not do this list without the mention of Hiroki Sumi? The former sumo wrestler made his one and only time appearance in the biggest Royal Rumble to date, entering at number 7. And despite his size and power, Hiroki only lasted 46 seconds after being eliminated by Mark Henry. Now, the Saudi Sports Authority did request Yokozuna for the match, but under the circumstances, we believe that this was the best that WWE could have done as a replacement. But there you have it, folks. Be sure to leave your comments down below.
Some weird entries right here. So give me a second. I'm gonna take a look and see if Simon has the same one as well too. What culture? Hold on.
It is almost Raw Rumble version. The TNA crossover was going to be massive. It is almost.
All right. Okay, I thought I paused it. Anyway, and looks like Simon has some different ones. One, so do you have? I'm gonna check out as a different video. I might do this later, saying, you know, I'm trying to remember from this one. But anyway, other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you, boy.